Hello everyone, it is your favorite man-made disaster, Keki here, and the beginning of last month, I released a video all about Art Fight and showed you a couple of the new OCs I was going to feature this year. Well, it's now August 1st, and Art Fight 2025 has officially ended, so I figured I might as well make a follow-up video talking about what I was able to learn during this 31-day art challenge. First off, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who attacked me this year. There were so many stunning illustrations, and I'm gonna try and show all of them somewhere in this video, so seriously guys, thank you so much. Anyway, this art fight season, I did end up accomplishing at least one of the goals I had set out for myself, which was to beat my attack record from last year. It wasn't as much as I had hoped to do, but I am still happy nonetheless, so it's fine. This challenge is all about having fun while drawing original characters, so that's exactly what I did, and of course I had some thoughts on this. When doing Art Fight in 2024 versus 2025, I immediately noticed a difference, not just in my art style since it's been a year since I've done Art Fight, but in the way I executed most of the illustrations. In 2024, my poses tend to be more reserved, with little to no story in them. I also never drew more than one character in a single attack, and kept to half-body drawings the entire month. However, this year I really wanted to break the boundary and show how much I had improved this past year, so I guess you could say I locked in. I not only drew more characters per attack, but in general as well. There was more personality in this year's art that honestly shocked me with how different my art is now to a year ago. I guess I really shouldn't be surprised considering that it's been a full calendar year, but it's still shocking nonetheless. It does not feel like a full calendar year. This video is actually really weird because it just feels like I'm glazing my own art, but follow-up videos are important, I guess. I only drew environments for 2 of the attacks I did, but I genuinely forgot how fun it was to draw them when I'm not absolutely terrible at it. A few of them were featuring some AFMAO OCs, so I guess I'll show you guys the process of making those OC attacks since there was more than one, but also because this channel is somewhat related to AFMAO now, I guess. The first AFMAO OC I started out was actually Friendly Fire. This is Stella by Twinstars on Art Fight. She's an orange-haired Mifwa who's specifically set in the Phoenix Drop High seasons rather than the My Street seasons as of right now. A bit of backstory Twinstars has on her states that she's from a fairly wealthy family and that her mom died when she was starting middle school, spurring her on to become a doctor. She's got a caring nature, even though her shyness can be her downfall at some times. Stella is acquainted with many of the main cast members from the AFverse, but the one we're really focusing on is her biggest op, Jean. Unfortunately for Stella, she seems to have been subjected to the same type of harassment AFMAO had gone through in the show proper and is seemingly super over it. I'm genuinely not really sure if Twinstars intended this to be an unrequited love situation on Jean's part, but either way, her backstory is super interesting. Honestly, drawing her was so much fun. The pose was pretty difficult to iron out at first, but I definitely got into my groove eventually. I wanted to keep her shy and insecure disposition visible in her pose and expression, and I feel like I nailed it. Since Stella is a Mifwa, I really wanted to practice distinguishing my werewolf and Mifwa extremity designs from each other since I didn't feel super confident in my abilities to differentiate the 2 design aspects. I was tempted to draw her tail wrapping around the back of her like I usually do for Mifwas, but I ended up making these drawings more anatomically correct, I guess. I took more time to figure out how her tail would be situated under normal clothing, and honestly, I don't think it looks half bad. I will be honest here, though. I did change her uniform a bit to match the way I draw Season 2 uniforms, but they really look the same, so honestly, who really cares? One thing I do want to mention is the shoes. I am not above admitting that shoes and feet are the bane of my existence while drawing, especially in perspective, but this year has really helped me up my shoe game. I can't lie, I really think the loafers for the My Street uniforms are so adorable, and I love drawing loafers now. It's literally the only thing I'm comfortable drawing for shoes. Another thing I wanted to practice was eye rendering. The way I've been rendering eyes for the past couple of years has sort of been consistent, but it's definitely evolved quite a bit. I've been studying the illustrations made by Yen P on AFMAO's channel while trying to upgrade my own artwork and wanted to try experimenting. I usually only stick to colors in the same value as the main eye color while switching the hue or saturation, but with the new art style, I tried adding some colors from neighboring sides of the main eye color just to add a bit of spice. As for backgrounds, when I'm not drawing straight up environments, I like to give them little abstract backgrounds that relate to the drawing or character in some way. So Stella gets a nice medical background to line up with her specialized profession. Anyway, I genuinely love how this piece turned out. She looks so freaking adorable, and I could not be happier. Alrighty, on to the next one. The next AFMAO OCs I worked on actually came in a set of 3, all done by user Jahee. This was one of the 2 attacks I made that had a proper background, since I figured I might as well go all out because there were already 3 characters involved. First up is Arley Sydney, an OC sibling for Aaron and Melissa Sydney. In her description, it says that she's very physically active while in high school and is rivals with Jean, ultimately going out with him in my street. Dang, everyone really likes Jean, huh? You know, not that I blame them. It's something about Alejandro Saab, huh? However, something that I didn't actually expect was that Arley dies in season 4 of My Street, which is like super crazy. I haven't really seen anyone kill an insert OC for AFMAO before season 5 of My Street starts, so color me interested. I guess she also suffers from the curse of self-sacrifice, but who really knows? With Arley being a member of the Lycan family, she's also a werewolf, only with a blue gradient ear pattern instead of the red that Aaron has. Even though Arley most likely doesn't have anything to do physically with the ultimate curse, I like to give everyone who is turned into a werewolf or a part of the curse holder's family red accents in their eyes. You can see it kind of in my Aaron and Werewolf Garth art, but I thought it was a really neat detail, so screw me if it's not canon. Another character is Sydney, the younger sister of the Mifwa June, who has only appeared in a few minigames relating to Ryland, Dottie, and Daniel. Sydney seems to be the edgy type, keeping to herself and always trying to stay quiet. She, unlike Arley, seems to survive until the end of the current seasons and has a romantic interest in Daniel. She doesn't actually get to tell him her feelings, but hopefully Jahee will give her and Daniel the happy ending they so greatly deserve if they write more stories for season 7 and 8. I genuinely love when people write in their OCs with the lore-heavy events in My Street, because it implies that your character is part of the weird, freaky, karmic destiny that the main cast appears to be involved in. It's so fun to see everyone's interpretation of canon events, even if I'm the only one who really seems to adhere strictly to canon, I guess. The last character we have is Jacelyn, another OC sibling, this time for AFMAO. She's a year older than AFMAO, making connections with a bunch of the main cast before AFMAO's freshman year, since they were all in the same grade. Except for Aaron, but who really cares? I mean, she made friends with Aaron. They were not in the same grade, obviously. She's sociable, not as much as AFMAO is, but does well in school and works hard. Her main love interest is Gareth, not getting together with him until season 3 of My Street. What is also interesting about her is the fact that she took on Zach's werewolf genes, but hid them until Ian outed her in Emerald's secret. I want to assume that he took control of both AFMAO and Jacelyn in this retelling because of this drawing here, but the blurb didn't state anything concrete, so I guess we'll just leave it at that. You'll just have to ask Jahee themselves. She seemingly survives the whole Starlight drama in season 6, so hopefully we'll be able to see more of her story, like Sydney, when the next 2 seasons release. I wanted to make this piece pretty chill. They're all in their high school uniforms just hanging out in Arley's room. I made Arley's room pretty simple since I wanted the focus to be on the girls rather than the background. I also added Aaron's childhood dog Alexander to the piece, even though I'm not entirely sure if he'd still be alive when they're in high school. Well, you know, it doesn't really matter to me at the moment since the entire piece turned out so stunning, so I really couldn't care less. Now that this one is done, let's move on to the last AFMAO OC I drew for Art Fight. Our last AFMAO OC for the video is Freya by Cut Off Seraph. I don't tend to mess with the canon Phoenix Drop uniforms, but seeing as her long skirt felt integral to her already simple design, I decided to just roll with it and stick to the reference. There isn't much information that Seraph tells us about Freya, but what we are aware of is that Freya's upbringing was strict and complicated. She was born to werewolf parents and raised to grow up strong and independent, never leaning or relying on anyone around her. I'm not so sure if she has a change when entering high school, but she suddenly becomes friends with AFMAO Kawaii-chan and Zane, which is crazy considering his high school track record, while advocating for the werewolf dynamic system change in the school. She can also do magic, which I am genuinely not so sure if canon werewolves have a talent for magic, since the only characters we've seen perform magic are humans, witches, and warlocks, but these things don't have to be super canon, so she can use magic, I guess. You know, who knows? Maybe season 7 and 8 might just prove me wrong, so I will hold my tongue until then. For the design, I tried to stay pretty faithful to the original reference, but I did end up saturating the colors a bit more just to give the piece more life. I kept her blue socks instead of giving her the PDH uniform socks I've been giving everyone else, and like I mentioned prior, kept her elongated skirt to match the given reference. I didn't actually know what color her eyes were, so I ended up just drawing them closed. I know, it's a cop-out, but can you really blame me? I really wanted to stay true to everyone's designs, so when in doubt, just close her eyes. Since one of her interests is the moon, I made her background starry sky inspired and heavily abused my overlay and ad layers. The stack of papers she's holding are supposed to be her informational flyers for her werewolf reform program, and it's so cute. I love it. I love her so much. And that is our last AFMO OC done. I did so many more attacks than just these 3 this year, and while I'd like to go over all of them, I genuinely do not have the time for that, and you guys don't have the attention span for that either, so I guess we both lose. Now that the month is over, and Artfight 2025 is completely finished, what did we learn this month? I think my pacing is always an issue when it comes to doing these drawing challenges, and I've come to realize a couple things. If I'm not drawing for me, at the moment, I tend to get burned out so easily. When I'm designing characters from scratch, like in a bunch of the other videos I have on my channel, I tend to draw for days on end without stopping. But when I'm doing challenges like Inktober or even Artfight as we just saw, I really start to fizzle out a couple days in. One of my goals for this year was to draw a character every single day, and if you look at the number of the attacks I did this year, you can obviously see that that was not the case. So for next year, I think I really need to start pacing myself better and start really recognizing what my limits are. I wish I could tell you why I'm like that, but honestly, I'm genuinely not so sure of the reason myself. In the end, I still really enjoy the challenges despite only reaching some of the goals I set this year, and I learned a lot, so I could not be happier for the amazing art you guys have been sending my way. It's seriously incredible. Every single one of you are such talented artists, and I love seeing wherever you guys are at in your art journey. It is quite literally the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Thank you guys so much for attacking me and giving so much love to the other art fight video I did. I know a lot of people are just finding my channel, which is kind of weird, but I just wanted to say a huge thank you to the people who have just found my channel and are really excited about the OCs that I have. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye!